Hey guys, I just want to do a video here just covering my classroom policies and expectations. Um, I'm doing this because this is kind of an updated version from my syllabus, so I have put this onto the syllabus. But just so you know, as you watch videos throughout this class, it's going to be a mix of some videos were recorded last year and some are recorded this year. So I just want to clarify that if you hear something in a video and it doesn't make sense, let me know, and then that way I can go in and fix it. But one thing that you may hear isn't in any video if I refer to like an art kit, just ignore that because I'm not doing art kits this year, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video is part of the expectation, just so you guys have a clear understanding of like what's going on and what to expect, right? So the big thing I want to cover here is materials. This post will go up on the stream as well. I just wanted to do a video explaining it so that you really understand, right? So every assignment I give you, I am going to, like in my demos, you'll see me use certain things and I will talk about what materials I would like you to use, but I want to make this class flexible. In doing the art kits, it's a lot of work and I don't get most of the materials back. So I'm taking a different approach this year to see how that works. So what I have listed here is I have like three options for ways you can complete the assignments based on your situation, right? So the first one is a lot of you are taking this class online, but you come to school anyways for other classes. So you're already in the building. So the best thing that I would recommend you do is just as assignments come up, you can come see me in my room and I will provide the materials you need for you to borrow and take home. I just ask that anything you borrow that is still usable that you bring back, right? So for example, if I borrow you some pencils and some charcoal, and they're still usable when you're done, like bring them back so other kids can use them. But like if I give you paper and you draw on the paper, obviously that's your project. You don't need to return that to me. But if you ever borrow paper and you don't use it, definitely bring that back. So that's probably like the best case scenario is that if you have the ability to come to school and then just as projects come up, just borrow materials from me, that's going to be the best. I don't want to sit and like try to gather the materials for the entire semester. So I'd like to do just like one or two projects at a time. That way we make sure I'm not wasting materials by giving you too much and that you know what everything is for and that you're kind of up to date. Because the issue with the art kit is some kids just didn't even use it because they didn't do a lot of the projects and they never returned it. So all that stuff went to waste. Some people did projects but didn't use everything and didn't return it, right? So I just want to try to like be as efficient as I can with everything and make sure that you're getting just what you need and that the kids that are actually doing the projects are getting the materials. I'm not just giving it to everyone blanketly and then some people aren't even using it, right? Now, another option is, let's say you do not have the ability to come to my room to borrow materials. Um, then what I'm going to say is I'm going to be flexible with what you use on the assignments as long as you can fulfill what I'm asking, right? So an example might be maybe I have an assignment that is supposed to be like charcoal shading, but you have like maybe at home you just have pencil and paper. As long as you can complete the drawing and still show me that you can do the shading really well, I'm open to alternate materials being used. The other thing might be I might give you a an assignment where I want it done on 12 by 18 paper and you might not have that. Then I'm fine with you doing it on smaller paper, but I still want like as much detail as possible into there. Maybe I'll have you do multiple smaller drawings rather than one large one. I would say on a per project basis, if you're concerned with, like, you can email me with each project and be like, all right, this is what I have at home, this is what I have to work with. How can I tackle this project? We can talk through that. But like I said, I'm going to be pretty flexible on what you use. So I don't want you to feel pressure like you have to go to the store and buy all this stuff because you shouldn't have to buy materials to complete the class. Now, some of you will already have stuff. Some of you are pretty artsy already and might have stuff. That's great. You use what you have at home. If you want to go and buy stuff, you can, but I won't require that. Okay. So that's option two is I will be flexible with what you can find at home. Okay. Now, let's say you don't really have anything at home, like nothing basic, like you don't have pencil and paper for whatever reason, um, or you can't really find a way that you feel you can appropriately do the assignment with materials at home. Then the last option would be is I would let you do it digitally. This should only be a last resort, though. I would prefer stuff to be hand-drawn if possible. But there is an online app called Canvas that we will be using for one of our first projects. And the reason why we use this Canvas early on is because I want to teach it to you so that you have access to it. And so then what you can do, what this Canvas program does, it's very simple and it actually simulates real pencil and charcoal very well. And you have the option to do whatever color combos you want. You can even simulate black paper and white charcoal, which some of our projects will be. So as a last resort, you can try to draw digitally on this program, and that's another way that I would accept work. Okay, so if you are in like the worst case scenario where you can't come to school to get stuff, you don't really have anything at home, then this would be the option is you'd have to draw on this. Okay. Um, the next thing I want to talk about is late work. So what's going to happen is every assignment on D2L will have a due date, but um, you don't, if you need a couple extra days, that is fine. I don't deduct points for late work, but I don't want you to procrastinate and turn it all in at the end of the class. Like you really should try to be staying as close to the due date as possible. The moment the due date hits, I am going to mark it as 0 and missing. So the reason why I point this out is that if you see an assignment going as 0, don't assume that that assignment, there's no hope on that assignment and you can't get points. As soon as you turn it in, I will award the full points that you earn on that assignment. But like I said, you don't want to be like end of the semester missing like 5 or 6 big projects. You want to keep up with the deadlines as much as possible, but know that if you need an extra day or two, then you can have that. That's fine. Just know that every day that it's late, your assignment is going to be sitting at a 0 until it gets turned in. Okay. Google Classroom, I just want to clarify that there won't be a Google Classroom for this class. We do everything through the D2L website. So just make sure I just bring this up because last year I had some kids asking about the Google Classroom. They didn't think they had to do anything because they were looking for stuff on Google Classroom and they didn't have one. That's not the case. The online classes are completely independently run through D2L. So you have to do everything through that. Do not look for a Google Classroom. Okay. If you need help finding or navigating D2L, just send me an email and let me know or come and see me. Okay. In terms of just general expectations I want to cover is while this is an online class, it doesn't mean that you should be spending less time on your work, and it doesn't mean I'm expecting less of you. My expectation, so and I will always directly compare because I have an in-person drawing class at the same time as I'm having online, and my expectations are the same for you guys online as my in-person class. And the reason for that is you are earning the same credit. And to me, it's unfair that someone taking it online has an easier out to a grade than someone taking it in person. And we're teaching the same content. I'm giving you the same lessons. You should be capable of doing the same stuff. Now, I will say that I recommend taking it in person if you can, and I will talk about that in this next section because it's going to be easier when you're here in person. That's what I would say, right? But the other big thing here in terms of expectations is you should be putting in 45 to 50 minutes every day towards this class. If you are not doing that, then your drawings aren't going to be showing enough detail and they're not going to meet my expectations in terms of quality. Very common thing I had happen last year is students would spend all week doing seemingly nothing, and then they turn in the project and it's just quick little 5 minute drawing, and it's not, and it might be like a 1 to 2 week project, and they turn in this thing that I can clearly tell they didn't spend much time on. Okay. And it's not, when I look at your guys' artwork, I'm not expecting you to be like the most amazing drawer in the world because like everyone's at different places and I understand you're learning. But no matter what your drawing ability is, I can tell how much time and effort you are putting in. No matter what level of drawer you are, you have the ability to put in the effort, and I can see that whether you did or did not. Because I did get a student last year email me because I was having a conversation about expectations. They didn't get the grade they wanted. And they complained to me and said, well, no one's not as good as a drawer as you are. And I'm like, I'm not expecting you to be as good a drawer as me. I'm not expecting you to be as good a drawer as somebody else in the class, but I am expecting you to put the effort in and try to improve yourself based on your drawing ability. And if you're not putting in 45 to 50 minutes every day, then you might not be getting that. Because once again, I'll do that comparison. My kids that have the in-person class, they're here every day for 45 to 50 minutes and they're working every day. And I want that expectation to be the same whether you're online or in person. Okay. So the big thing for you guys online is you have to be communicating with me. If you are not sure what to do, if you are confused, if you want to send me like a partial drawing, like in progress to say, am I on the right track? Make sure you're meeting expectations. You're welcome to do that. So that leads me to this really important part that is online versus in person. Okay. As I mentioned, the courses are pretty much identical with the exception of like one project. It's portfolio versus a name card project because to me they lend themselves to each one differently. Um, but the classes are basically identical. My expectations are going to be the same because you're earning the same credit. And to me, like I said, it's unfair that just because you're taking it online, you shouldn't get an easier experience than someone that's in person to get the same credit, right? Uh, so the big thing I want to say is a lot of you taking this online class still come to school in the building for other classes. And being that this is an art class, a drawing class where we're using physical materials, and we talked about the limitations up here, a lot of you maybe won't have the stuff you need. My recommendation is if you have the ability to take this class in person and you're already at school, you should just take the in-person class. So I want you guys all to reflect on why are you taking this class online? And some of you might have a legitimate reason and it might make sense, right? So if it makes sense and it's legitimate that you're taking it online, that's totally fine. But if you're taking it online because you want an extra open hour and you're already here at school, then you are doing yourself a disservice by not taking the in-person class. An example was last year I had a student in my online drawing that for half of the semester struggled, didn't get anything done, was unsure or confused about assignments, never contacted me, eventually started coming in to see me in person, and basically ended up coming to my room every day during their study center to work, and then they finally were successful. But it's frustrating on my end because, well, you're already here at school, you took the online, and you needed to come here in person to be successful anyways, you should have just been in the in-person class. So while we're early in the semester, I really wanted to get this message out that if you're already at school and you don't really have a good reason to be taking online, I highly recommend you talk to your counselor and just switch to my in-person class. I have in-person drawing both semesters this year. Um, so you have plenty of options to get into an in-person class. I would try to do that because you are going to find that the online version is naturally just harder. And the reason why it's harder is because I'm not here to give you direct feedback every day, and you won't maybe have access to the materials as easily, right? And once again, you may have to come see me in person just to get to materials anyway. So I obviously can't force you to do anything. I just want everybody to be as successful as possible. And I feel like for especially for like an art class where you're physically creating art, it just makes sense to be in person if you can. Uh, now, there shouldn't don't feel any shame in taking online. Like if you're taking online and you have a legitimate reason, you are completely at home, or you don't live in the Brainerd district, like don't feel bad about that. Like that's perfectly fine. That's what online is for. I think there are just a lot of kids out there that take online for the wrong reasons, and I want to make sure that if you think you're in that camp, that you switch to in person. Okay. So, anyways, if you guys have any questions about these policies, please let me know. But I think if you guys are having any doubts or questions about like if you're taking the right version of the class or anything like that, like now's the time that we address that early in the semester, okay? So once again, let me know if you need help with anything. And if you do decide you want to switch to in-person and you want help with that, you can just email me too and I can get in touch with your counselor, okay? So have a good week and we'll see you guys next time.